What's up you guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we have something extra special. Ever since I was young, growing up, I was always a huge fan of Pokemon. And there's always been a few things surrounding Pokemon in general that's been a little bit of a mystery to everyone. So this first theory about Pokemon revolves around Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam. So first off, Abra is not like other Pokemon. Abra is typically smarter than majority of the first generation of Pokemon. It teleports away in order not to be captured. So it uses the one move that it knows, teleport, in order to get away from humans trying to stuff Abras into their tiny Pokeballs. Maybe Abra is just claustrophobic as hell. Kadabras, which are the evolution of Abras for those of you that don't know, are also extremely intelligent just like Abra. There's only one method to evolve a Kadabra into its final form, Alakazam, and that is by trading. Why do they only evolve by trading? Well, the theory goes that Kadabra technically is afraid of any other trainer other than yourself, or its current owner. So in order to protect itself, what it does when it's traded is it evolves into its final form in order to become stronger to protect itself from that new trainer. Let's move on to the theory as to why Brock always has his eyes closed and has trouble making eye contact with other characters. This theory takes us back to Greek mythology, where the Gorgon Medusa, who is a monstrous creature, when looked at, will turn you into stone. Is the reason that Brock always has his eyes closed and has a difficult time maintaining eye contact the reason of having an innate fear of being turned into stone? Hence why he only trains rock Pokemon. The whole thing is an entire metaphor within the story. I guess as they say, you can't turn stone into stone, right? The next one gets a little bit dark. This theory is based on the fact that some fans believe Team Rocket may in fact be stuck in purgatory. This is a theory that I found on Reddit, and I totally believe that there is a chance that it could be plausible. My friend Sky suggested as a joke that Team Rocket is in purgatory punishing themselves over and over for the time when they separated a boy from his Pikachu in real life. They accidentally killed the Pikachu and the boy committed suicide, so they relived the incident in a million ways to foil their own attempts and set things right. It would tend to explain why Ash doesn't grow up and Pikachu doesn't evolve. They remain as Jesse, James, and Meowth remember them. A massive mystery over the past 20 years in Pokemon, the mystery as to where exactly is Ash Ketchum's dad. We see Ash, we see his mom, but we've never seen his dad, and there's rarely ever any mention at all regarding his father. The theory goes that Ash Ketchum's father was in fact really good friends with Professor Oak in Pallet Town. It is believed that he may have been working on an intense experiment involving a Pikachu and electricity within Professor Oak's laboratory. It is believed that the experiment failed, which killed Ash Ketchum's father, and in essence his soul was transferred from his body to Pikachu's body. So at this point it is believed that Pikachu may have short-term memory loss, and is the reason why Ash's father doesn't realize who he is. He eventually starts having small relapses and recurring memories coming back to him, and he's beginning to realize who he is. Hence the reason why he becomes Ash's best friend. This theory could accurately explain why Pikachu is so different from the rest of the Pokemon. This is the reason why he never wants to stay in a Pokeball, and would much rather stay by Ash's side through the entire series. It is also highly plausible that Ash's mom Delia knows exactly who Pikachu is, and is the reason why she eventually lets Ash go on his journey in the first place. And also the fact that she probably doesn't want to sound like a crazy woman trying to explain the whole theory to Ash. After doing a bit of research on this one, I came up with a theory that could coincide with the initial theory. So in Chinese mythology, you have something called Hun and Po. Hun could be accurately described as the spiritual soul, which creates a human personality, whereas Po on the other hand is considered more vegetative or physical. Po in the Chinese mythology also accounts for things like growth and physiological functions. It's basically like your brain functioning with the rest of your body. So my theory is that when Ash's father died, almost all of the Hun spirit left his body, whereas the entire Po spirit essentially transferred into the Pikachu with only a little bit of the Hun spirit left over, which coincides with the theory and the fact that he is now physically Ash's father and only mentally a portion of Ash's father, and the reason why he doesn't exactly remember who he is. It's quite a heartwarming story if you think about it. So this next theory explains why starter Pokemon are so rare and hard to find. So the starter Pokemon, like Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander, everybody's favorites of course, were believed to be the most intelligent and strongest Pokemon of them all, which meant that everybody wanted one. The problem was that so many people were catching these strong and powerful Pokemon that they were literally becoming extinct throughout the world. So what they did to fix the problem was they took these Pokemon and essentially put them into reserves, sort of like farms or theme parks, so to say. These were typically now the only places you'd ever really find these Pokemon anymore. It became very rare that you would ever find them in the wild, which would explain why every time Ash would see them, he was totally astonished. This theory works perfectly in line with Pokemon Snap, whereas in Pokemon Snap it was believed to be sort of like a theme park or reserve, like I said, where you can come and see these Pokemon and only take pictures and you were never allowed to catch any of them. This next theory can be broken into two parts. So these theories go on to possibly explain why Ash never gets older. So as the first one goes, there's an item in Ash's backpack called an Everstone that is meant to keep Pokemon from leveling up. Instead of preventing Pokemon from leveling up, it's in fact preventing Ash from growing up. Hence the reason why he's been only 10 years old for the past 20 years. The other theory is a little more dark. This theory says that Ash Ketchum may in fact be in a coma. This one's a little bit more far-fetched, but hear me out for a second. Ash Ketchum has in fact been in a coma this entire time, and everything that happens in the series is him overcoming his fears and reaching certain aspects of his life and character and attaining what would otherwise be impossible to him in his boring little pallet town. The characters he meets throughout the series are in fact people he would aspire to be or characteristics of himself. For example, Brock. Brock is an accurate representation of Ash's newfound interest in women, which would make a lot of sense considering Ash has now come to that age where he's definitely becoming interested in women. However, Brock is always rejected, which shows us Ash's fear of being rejected by women himself. I don't know, it could make sense, right? The last theory that I found turns out to be a deconstruction of the entire first generation of Pokemon. This one gets a little bit more complex. Part 1 of this theory explains the characters Red and Blue in the series. It is believed that the characters Red and Blue were in fact created through science experiments by Professor Oak himself. Red was created by a 650 nanometer laser, which gave him a very human resemblance. However, he was missing a lot of human characteristics such as emotions. On the second experiment, which was significantly more successful through a 450 nanometer laser, Blue was created. Blue was significantly more human than Red, and it is believed that both were named after their respective lasers, one being Red, one being Blue. At this point, Professor Oak decided he was going to leave Red with a surrogate mother in Pallet Town and raise Blue as his own grandson. Another part of this theory tells us that Pokeballs may be leaking radiation. While the Pokeballs do their best to contain the radiation, a small portion does still leak out and is proportional to the size of the trainer. Hence why a youngster can only train a Rattata. Rattata. This theory accurately explains to us why majority of trainers can only carry up to 3 or 4 Pokemon at a time, and why typically more muscular and stronger characters can carry heavier Pokemon like Geodude and Onix. Another point to this theory is the fact that gym leaders carry usually about 5 Pokemon, and the reason behind that theory is the fact that they're typically not always as close to those Pokemon as other people are. This theory directly coincides with the theories behind the characters Red and Blue. Simply because they are superhuman makes them typically a lot stronger and they can handle higher amounts of radiation, hence why Red or Blue can both carry up to 6 Pokemon at a time. The evolution of Pokemon can also be explained by the theory of Pokemon radiation itself. So when a Pokemon faces a very strong Pokemon in combat, because the strong Pokemon exudes such a high amount of radiation, the trainer's Pokemon absorbs that radiation, gaining new abilities or otherwise gaining strength itself through the radiation and evolving into something else entirely. Hence why when you face a much weaker opponent, you typically gain a smaller amount of XP, which that smaller amount of XP is actually radiation. This theory continues on to the Pokemon League. In Kanto, you have 4 elite characters. They reside in gyms with many followers and apprentices. With many Pokemon trainers on the rise, the Elite Four feared a revolution, so they make you an offer you can't refuse to join their ranks and only make their group more powerful and stronger than ever before. The theory continues on with Red, who after defeating the Elite Four was seen as unfit for the role as leader of the elite group itself. Let's remember that he was lacking emotions like many of the other humans in the series. As his skills as a trainer began to diminish, he decided he was going to train by himself in Mount Silver. At this point, the Kanto gym leaders began a rebellion. Lorelei and Agatha were either killed or in hiding, and only Bruno remained. No one could defeat Lance's dragons, and after Lorelei and Agatha disappeared, he felt it was time for change. The leaders allowed Lance to remain as champion and decided to put one of their own into the ranks, a character named Koga. I'm not going to explain any more of these characters, but moving on to the last part of the theory is, for 3 years the character Red trained on top of Mount Silver until finally one little boy came along named Gold. Well, Pokemon fans, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed looking up these theories, investigating a little further, and coming up with this video for you guys. So if you did enjoy, please don't forget to slap that like button down below and hit that subscribe button if you want more random conspiracy theories and all sorts of other cool stuff on this channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell on your way out so that way YouTube lets you know when I post the next video. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a fantastic day. Bye.